Chapter 13 of Aunt Joe's Scrapbag. This is a LibriVox recording. All LibriVox recordings are in the public domain. For more information or to volunteer, please visit LibriVox.org. Recording by Diana Meilinger. Aunt Joe's Scrapbag by Louisa May Alcott. Chapter 13. Our Little Newsboy. Hurrying to catch a certain car at a certain corner late one stormy night, I was suddenly arrested by the sight of a queer-looking bundle lying in a doorway. "Bless my heart, it's a child! Oh, John, I'm afraid he's frozen!" I exclaimed to my brother, as we both bent over the bundle. Such a little fellow as he was, in the big, ragged coat! Such a tired baby face under the fuzzy cap! Such a purple little hand still holding fast a few papers! Such a pathetic sight altogether was the boy, lying on the stone step, with the snow drifting over him, that it was impossible to go by. "He's asleep, but he'll freeze if left so long. Here, wake up, my boy, and go home as fast as you can," cried John, with a gentle shake, and a very gentle voice, for the memory of a dear little lad, safely tucked up at home, made him fatherly kind to the small vagabond. The moment he was touched, the boy tumbled up, and, before he was half awake, began his usual cry, with an eye to business. "Paper, sir? Herald? Transcript? Last—" A great gape swallowed up the last edition, and he stood blinking at us like a very chilly young owl. "I'll buy 'em all if you'll go home, my little chap. It's high time you were abed," said John, whisking the damp papers into one pocket, and his purse out of another, as he spoke. "All of them? Why, there's 6!" croaked the boy, for he was as hoarse as a raven. "Never mind, I can kindle the fire with 'em. Put that in your pocket, and trot home, my man, as fast as possible." "Where do you live?" I asked, picking up the 50 cents that fell from the little fingers, too benumbed to hold it. "Mills Court, out of Hanover. Cold, ain't it?" said the boy, blowing on his purple hands, and hopping feebly from one leg to the other to take the stiffness out. "He can't go all the way in this storm. Such a mite, and so used up with cold and sleep, John." "Of course he can't. We'll put him in the car," John began, when the boy wheezed out. "No, I've got to wait for Sam. He'll be along as soon as the theater's done. He said he would, and so I am waiting." "Who is Sam?" I asked. "He's the feller I lives with. I ain't got any folks, and he takes care of me." "Nice care indeed, leaving a baby like you to wait for him here such a night as this," I said crossly. "Oh, he's good to me, Sam is, though he does knock me round sometimes, when I ain't spry. The big fellow shows me back, you see, and I gets cold and can't sing out loud. So I don't sell my papers and has to work them off late." "Hear the child talk! One would think he was 16 instead of 6, I said, half laughing. "I'm 'most 10. Hi! Ain't that a owner?" cried the boy, as a gust of sleet slapped from his face when he peeped to see if Sam was coming. "Hullo! The lights is out! Why, the play's done, and the folks gone, and Sam's forgot me." It was very evident that Sam had forgotten this little protégé, and a strong desire to shake Sam possessed me. "No use waiting any longer, and now my papers is sold, I ain't afraid to go home," said the boy, stepping down like a little old man with the rheumatism, and preparing to trudge away through the storm. "Stop a bit, my little Casabianca. A car will be along in 15 minutes, and while waiting you can warm yourself over there," said John, with the purple hand on his. "My name's Jack Hill, not Cassie Banks, please, sir," said the little party, with dignity. "Have you had your supper, Mr. Hill?" asked John, laughing. "I had some peanuts, and 2 sucks of Joe's orange, but it weren't very filling," he said, gravely. "I should think not. Here, one's 2, and be quick, please," cried John, as we sat down in a warm corner of the confectioner's opposite. While little Jack shoveled in the hot oysters, with his eyes shutting up now and then in spite of himself, we looked at him and thought again of little Rosy Face at home safe in his warm nest, with mother love watching over him. Nodding towards the ragged, grimy, forlorn little creature, dropping asleep over his supper like a tired baby, I said, "Can you imagine our Freddie out alone at this hour, trying to work off his papers, because afraid to go home till he has?" "I'd rather not try," answered Brother John, winking hard, as he stroked the little head beside him, which, by the by, looked very like a ragged, yellow door-mat. I think Brother John winked hard, but I can't be sure, for I know I did, and for a minute there seemed to be a dozen little newsboys dancing before my eyes. "There goes our car, and it's the last," said John, looking at me. "Let it go, but don't leave the boy," and I frowned at John for hinting at such a thing. "Here is his car. Now, my lad, bolt your last oyster and come on." "Good night, ma'am. Thankee, sir," croaked the grateful little voice, as the child was caught up in John's strong hands and set down on the car step. With a word to the conductor, and a small business transaction, we left Jack coiled up in a corner to finish his nap as tranquilly as if it wasn't midnight, and the knocking round might not wait him at his journey's end. We didn't mind the storm much as we plodded home, and when I told the story to Rosy Face next day, his interest quite reconciled me to the sniffs and sneeze of a bad cold. "If I saw that little poor boy, Aunt Jo, I'd love him lots," said Freddie, with a word of pity of his beautiful child's eyes. And, believing that others also would be kind to little Jack, and such as he, I tell the story. When busy fathers hurry home at night, I hope they'll buy their paper of the small boys who get shoved back, the feeble ones who grow hoarse and can't sing out, the shabby ones who evidently have only forgetful Sams to take care of them, and the hungry-looking ones who don't get what is filling. For love of the little sons and daughters safe at home, say a kind word, buy a paper, even if you don't want it, and never pass by, leaving them to sleep forgotten in the streets at midnight, with no pillow but a stone, no coverlet but the pitiless snow, and not even a tender-hearted robin to drop leaves over them. End of chapter 13.